My stepdaughter yelled, "You can't tell us what to do. You're not blood." So I handed her the full balance of what blood never covered. Bills, tuition, healthcare, and I walked. They haven't argued with a bill collector since. My name's Alex. I'm 48, from Savannah, Georgia. Been welding for nearly 3 decades now. Arc flash, sore knees, steel dust that never washes off. You don't build a life like that expecting thanks. You do it because something's gotta hold the damn world together. 12 years. That's how long I was with Nicole. 12 years of dinners I paid for, plumbing I fixed, arguments I swallowed. And always Jamie. She was 11 when I met her. Small, angry, guarded like a dog that's been kicked too many times. Her dad, Randy, was a myth. Showed up with a pizza once a year and vanished like vapor. Promised ski trips, called twice on birthdays. Never paid child support longer than a month. But he was dead. That word alone kept the door open. Me? I wasn't invited. I earned my place one bagged lunch at a time. Quietly, an unannounced presence in the background of their lives. I remember the first time Jamie left her homework on the table. I helped, sat down after work, hands still stained with soot, walked her through the math problems one by one. She didn't say thank you, but she left her book there again the next day. That's how it always was. No affection, no recognition, just repetition. Silent routines that looked like love from a distance. I paid for school supplies, every damn September like clockwork. Field trip fees, winter coats, new glasses when hers broke and Randy was between gigs. I was the name at the pharmacy counter. The guy on hold with the insurance company when she needed dermatology referrals. I sat beside her through steroid treatments for that skin condition, missing 2 days of work I never got back. She didn't ask me to be her dad. I never asked to be called one. But I showed up. That was the contract I made with myself. Nicole worked in hospitality back then. Long shifts, mood swings. Some months she made rent, some months she didn't. I covered the difference. Paid the bills, topped up the fridge, bought the allergy-friendly shampoo Jamie liked. Quietly, no parade, just responsibility. By the time Jamie was 16, I was refinancing my truck to get her braces. She complained about the metal, called them ugly. Not once did she ask who paid for them. When she got accepted to a summer coding program, I didn't hesitate. $3,000 gone in a blink. I told Nicole, let her go. It'll help her future. She smiled. That tired, familiar smile that said, I'm grateful, but don't ask me to say it out loud. Her prom came. I remember standing in that boutique, surrounded by silk and sequins and teenage complaints. She hated everything, until she found it, the dress. $462. I paid, didn't flinch, just handed over my debit card and drove her home. She didn't thank me, but she wore it, and I told myself that was enough. Graduation came next. I booked the hall. I bought the cake. I paid the DJ who played music too loud for too long. Randy showed up late. Wore cologne like it was an apology. Took selfies with Jamie and left before dessert. Nicole tried to smooth it over, said he was trying. I didn't argue. I just cleaned up the plates. College came. That was when I started working Saturdays. Welding jobs on the side, cash under the table. Every extra dollar went to Jamie's tuition. Nicole was between jobs again. Said she'd help when she could. She never could. I paid for orientation, deposits, textbooks, a laptop, even gave Jamie a card linked to my account so she'd never go hungry on campus. She used it for Starbucks and sushi and gas for road trips. I said nothing. That was the agreement. I give, they take, and we all pretend this is normal. But it wasn't normal. It was erosion. I didn't notice the cracks at first. You don't when you're working 12-hour days and coming home to silence. Jamie never hugged me, never once said she loved me, but she accepted everything. My name was on the lease, the bills, the loans, the grocery receipts, but never in her mouth. Still, I told myself, this is what a man does. He gives without needing to be seen. He builds without needing to own. I believed that. I clung to it, until the night it all collapsed. Jamie had come home for the weekend. She'd been doing that less and less. When she was around, she mostly stayed in her room. The kitchen was quieter. The house felt like it belonged to someone else. That night, I found a bottle of vodka in her backpack. Half empty, cheap, hidden under her notebooks. I confronted her in the living room, calmly, like I always did. I know college is a lot, but this? I held the bottle up. You don't bring this into our house. She scoffed, crossed her arms like I was a teacher she hated. It's not your house. Nicole was behind her, frozen. Always behind. Always silent. I tried again. There are rules. I've worked too hard. That's when Jamie snapped. Her voice cut through the air like wire. You're not blood. You can't tell us what to do. The room went still. 12 years. Gone. Just like that. Nicole didn't speak. She didn't rush to correct her. She didn't say, he raised you. She didn't say, he paid for everything. She didn't say anything. Jamie stormed off. Her bedroom door slammed like a final verdict. The bottle of vodka sat sweating on the table. Nicole stood there, hands limp at her sides. No defense. No apology. Just silence. I sat down. Didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stared at the spot Jamie had stood. And something inside me broke. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet. Clean. Like steel snapping in the cold. 12 years. Birthday parties. Health insurance. Braces. Rent. Groceries. Laughter I wasn't part of. Tears I comforted. Doors I kept open with my own body. And all it took was one sentence to erase it. You're not blood. It echoed. Not just in the room, but in my ribs, in my skull, in every receipt I'd kept like proof of love. Nicole came to bed late that night. Slid under the covers like nothing had happened. I didn't speak. My eyes stared at the ceiling fan turning overhead, slow and meaningless. She didn't say sorry. She didn't explain. She just turned off the light. And in that darkness, I made my first real decision in years. Morning came like judgment. The light through the blinds didn't feel warm, didn't feel like promise. It felt like exposure. I got up before either of them stirred. Nicole was curled away from me. She didn't flinch when I left the bed. I went to the garage, dug through the cabinet where I kept old documents, the things no one else cared about. Receipts, statements, handwritten notes from years of tracking who paid what and when. I laid it all out on the kitchen table like evidence in a courtroom. 12 years of being not blood. 12 years of paying for a child who never called me dad, who only saw me when she needed something. 12 years of Nicole saying, she's just young, or she doesn't mean it like that, or worse, saying nothing at all. I wanted to see what it all looked like, stacked together, laid bare. Rent, from 2011 to 2023, I covered 92% of it. Not half, not shared, not fair, just me. She lost her job twice, claimed she'd pay me back when she could. She never did. Utilities, gas, water, power, internet. Her name wasn't on a single account. Jamie streamed movies in HD and left the lights on in rooms she never used. But the bills came to me. Groceries, over 3,000 receipts. Not one grocery trip reimbursed. Organic produce when Jamie had a dietary phase. Lactose-free, gluten-free, hormone-free, nothing ever budget-free. Medical, every appointment, every copay. Skin condition, my insurance. Counseling during her second year of high school. Me. 2 ER visits, billed to my name. She once told Nicole, at least Dad would have gotten better insurance. I remember because I swallowed that insult without blinking. Education, elementary to college. Backpacks, supplies, laptops. She forgot her lunch account PIN so I'd send money straight to the school. College orientation, dorm fees, textbooks. Over $44,000 across 4 years. And she never asked where it came from. Just expected it. Credit card. The emergency card. That's what I called it. Gave it to Nicole for gas, groceries, bills. Somehow, Jamie got access. Uber Eats, Sephora, Airbnb. She once rented a cabin with her friends for a weekend and didn't invite us. The charge was $517.42. I paid it. Phone bills. 3 lines. One for me. One for Nicole. One for Jamie. Guess which one used the most data and never once thanked me? I totaled it all. Carefully. Methodically. I didn't round up. I didn't exaggerate. $147,218.37. That was the cost of being invisible. That was the price of pretending love didn't need acknowledgement. I stacked the papers in neat columns, stapled them by category, wrote the total at the bottom in red ink. Then, at the very top of the pile, I left a note on plain white paper. This is the cost of not being blood. From now on, you're responsible. Then I made 3 moves. I grabbed my duffel bag from the closet, packed only what was mine, my work clothes, my tools, my grandfather's watch. I took my keys off the hook. Not the house keys, just the Toyota. I walked out the door. Didn't slam it. Didn't even close it hard. Just let it latch behind me like a whisper. Nicole called 2 hours later. I didn't answer. Jamie texted that night. Do you have any idea what you've done? We're drowning in bills. No greeting. No apology. Just the shriek of entitlement finding out the world no longer bends to its voice. I didn't reply. 3 days passed. Nicole emailed me. Subject line. Rent? Body. How do I stop the autopay on the lease? It's coming out of your account. She hadn't even noticed I'd shut it off already. The payment bounced. The landlord called her cell. She panicked. Still, I said nothing. I stayed in a small motel off Highway 21. 2-star. Smelled like cigarettes and desperation. But the bed was clean and no one asked me to explain myself. I slept better than I had in years. A week later, I moved into a rented studio across town. 1 room. Minimal furniture. I bought a used couch and a hot plate. I left the walls bare on purpose. Clean slate. The first weekend I was gone, Nicole tried to guilt me. She called and left a voicemail. Said Jamie was really stressed and couldn't focus on her studies. Asked if I would just cover this semester, just this one, and then they'd figure things out. I replayed that voicemail 3 times. They still didn't get it. They thought this was a standoff, that I'd cool down and come back, that I'd missed them enough to pay for the privilege of being ignored. I didn't. I found a second job doing weekend metalwork at a marina. Cash. Quiet. Nobody there asked about Jamie. Nobody there reminded me I wasn't blood. 2 weeks in, I got a call from my buddy Marcus. Said he ran into Jamie at the pharmacy where his wife works. She was trying to get her prescription, he said. Card got declined. Said the insurance was messed up. Told the tech. My stepdad's being difficult. Stepdad. First time she'd used the word in years. And even then, only when the safety net had vanished. Marcus's wife, a sharp woman who's seen too many entitled brats grow up into broken adults, told me later. She asked why it wasn't working. I told her, sweetheart, maybe he got tired of paying for people who don't respect him. That was the first time I laughed in months. Not a full laugh. Not joy. Just a crack in the dam. Something real. Later that same day, I walked down to the river with a coffee and no timeline. Watched the current move like it didn't care who was watching. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. Not even bitter. Just released. For 12 years, I was a background character in a story that demanded I play the hero. I gave everything. Asked for nothing. And the one time I said no, the curtain dropped. Jamie didn't know how to budget. Nicole didn't know how to manage. And Randy? Still MIA. The real dad. The one she screamed for in arguments and posted photos with once a year. He didn't answer when she called. Didn't send money. Didn't explain why the pharmacy laughed at his expired insurance. Meanwhile, the man she told off, the one who was not blood, was somewhere quiet, buying his own groceries with his own money, sleeping through the night, breathing without debt. A month passed. Jamie got a second job waitressing at some diner near campus. Nicole tried applying for deferred utilities. Denied. She hadn't worked in months. Claimed depression. Maybe that was true. Maybe not. Either way, the man who handled it all, the one who picked up the pieces, glued the cracks, paid the bill, was gone. And for the first time in 12 years, no one could pretend he hadn't been there. They thought I was bluffing. That's what still stuns me. Not the betrayal, not the silence, but the fact that they genuinely believed I'd cave. That after a few weeks of sulking, I'd come crawling back, wallet in hand, ready to be ignored again. Nicole must have told herself I was just processing. Jamie probably assumed I was playing some kind of guilt game. Neither of them understood that what broke in me wasn't temporary. It was structural, permanent. When steel bends far enough, it doesn't spring back. It snaps. After I moved into the studio, things got quieter. Not just around me, but inside me. I started sleeping better. No more tiptoeing into a house where my presence was met with rolled eyes or Nicole's cold sighs. No more late-night texts asking if I could send money for one last thing. No more invisible servitude in a home that never let me fully exist. It was strange at first. I get home from work and expect noise. A slammed door. Music leaking from Jamie's room. Nicole's voice somewhere in the kitchen, half listening to a podcast, half ignoring me. But the silence in my new place wasn't empty. It was clean, undisturbed. I could sit on my thrift store couch with a warm beer, stare at the ceiling fan, and feel nothing. And that nothing was peace. I bought a gym membership. Not because I had some revelation about self-improvement, but because I finally had time and money for things that were just for me. I showed up 4 days a week. Didn't talk to anyone. Just lifted until my arms burned. Not out of anger. Out of routine. Out of relief. Then came the calls. Jamie left voicemails. Not many, she's not the sentimental type. But I heard the desperation begin to grow. First one. Hey, it's Jamie. I don't get what's going on. Can we talk? Please? I didn't call back. A week later. Look, I know we had a fight, but this is ridiculous. You can't just ghost your family. Family. That word hit like a joke. Family? The same family that told me I didn't belong? That I had no voice? The same one that only called when rent was due or tuition needed covering. No, Jamie. I didn't ghost my family. I just stopped financing people who treated me like a stranger. Nicole sent a few texts, mostly vague guilt trips. I hope you're okay. Jamie's really struggling. We could use your help, just until things stabilize. She never apologized. Never said she was wrong to stand there and let Jamie tell me I wasn't blood. Never acknowledged the years I carried them like unpaid debt. All she offered were implications. That I was cruel. That I was abandoning them. Let me be clear. I didn't abandon anyone. I just stopped volunteering for a role that came with all the responsibility and none of the rights. Around the 6-week mark, I started running into people. Small-town life can't hide forever. I avoided familiar stores at first. Took different roads to work. But eventually, paths cross. It happened in the pharmacy. I was picking up a prescription. Basic stuff. The tech behind the counter was an older woman. Kind eyes, gray hair pulled back tight. Mrs. Harper. I recognized her. Used to live a few blocks down from us. Jamie once babysat her granddaughter. She looked up from the counter and paused. Alex. I nodded. She stepped around the register, leaned in a little. Her voice dropped, softer now. I wasn't gonna say anything, but I heard what happened. I didn't respond, just waited. She placed the bag on the counter but didn't let go. I want you to know, she said. People saw what you did, over the years. Jamie used to come in here bragging about her New York trip. Said her stepdad paid for it. Told us you drove her to the airport at 4 in the morning. That you sat with her through that skin treatment, even when she cried. I said nothing. My throat was tight. She used to glow when she talked about you. And now, she sighed. Now she complains about bus fare, about rent, about how her dad doesn't answer her calls. Her eyes met mine, steady, kind but honest. People notice, she said. And honestly, We respect the hell out of you for walking away. I swallowed hard. Managed a nod. That was the first time I smiled in weeks. Not the empty smile I used to wear around Nicole and Jamie. Not the forced one for birthdays and fake family photos. This one was different. Came from something deeper. Something healed. That moment stayed with me. Not because I needed validation, but because it proved I wasn't crazy. That someone, somewhere, saw the reality I had been choking on for years. I wasn't the villain. I wasn't abandoning a family. I was freeing myself from a one-sided contract. And someone had witnessed the work I put in before I walked away. Over the next few weeks, more whispers reached me. A coworker said he saw Jamie working the late shift at a diner near campus. Said she looked exhausted, thinner than usual. That she messed up an order and almost cried when the customer yelled at her. Another friend told me Nicole was trying to sell her car. Said the payments were catching up. That she'd stopped going to her yoga classes. That she'd asked about food banks. I didn't rejoice in it. I didn't smile at their struggle. But I didn't move to help either. Because struggle was the thing they refused to believe I knew. For 12 years I'd carried all of it. Quietly. So they could float through life. Smug in the belief that things just worked out. Now they were learning what it meant to stand without a foundation. Randy, Jamie's real dad, hadn't shown up. No surprise. He never did. He didn't pay the bills. Didn't answer the phone. Didn't sit in waiting rooms or fix broken toilets or work double shifts to cover dance recitals and therapy sessions. He was blood. But he was never family. That was me. And they threw me away. 3 months passed. No more voicemails. No more texts. I heard from Marcus again. Said Nicole had moved in with a cousin for a while. Said Jamie dropped a class because she couldn't afford the textbook. Said the electricity was shut off for 2 days before someone paid it. They were learning. Not just about money but about presence. About what it means to lose the man who never asked for praise but always delivered. About the difference between being called dad and acting like one. I stayed silent. Didn't gloat. Didn't reappear with conditions. I just lived. And it was the living that healed me. Week by week, the weight lifted. I started reading again. Books I never had time for. I took long walks. Sat in diners alone and didn't feel lonely. I even started sketching. Just lines and shadows, nothing fancy. But it was mine. No one asked for it. No one mocked it. One morning, I woke up before my alarm and realized I wasn't angry anymore. Not at Jamie. Not even at Nicole. They'd made their choices. And I'd finally made mine. I was no longer their emergency fund. No longer their punching bag. No longer the shadow of a man they tolerated for his paycheck. I was Alex. A man with scars, yes, but also with boundaries now. With dignity. And strangely, in their absence, I found a kind of presence I never knew I'd been missing. Respect didn't come from Jamie. Came from strangers who saw truth. And sometimes that's enough. 3 months. That's how long it took before the silence stopped feeling like punishment and started feeling like proof. Proof that I had done the right thing. Proof that their voices, once constant, entitled, and sharp, had finally run out of things to demand. No more texts. No more emails. No more voicemails asking me to just help this one time. It was like they vanished. Or maybe I did. I had always been the bridge. Between their problems and their solutions. Between their chaos and their comfort. When I burned that bridge, they didn't know how to build another. They just stood on the shore and shouted, waiting for me to come back. I never did. Jamie had stopped reaching out completely. Not even a fake apology. Not even a guilt-ridden, hey, just checking in. I guess asking the man you erased for help takes more courage than she had. Nicole tried once. About 6 weeks ago, she left a message. Flat voice. No emotion. Just logistics. The credit card's still in your name. Can you take care of that? No mention of Jamie. No mention of the night everything fell apart. No admission of what she allowed in her silence. I called the bank that same day. Paid it off. Closed the account. Message sent. And they got it loud and clear. Because after that, there was nothing. No smoke signals. No olive branches. Just Quiet. The kind of quiet I used to beg for during those years in that house. The kind that feels like a locked door nobody tries to open anymore. Meanwhile, I lived. Really lived. I bought a new pair of boots. The kind I used to pass up because Jamie needed a new phone or Nicole said the water heater was acting up. I took a trip to Asheville. Drove my old Toyota up through the Blue Ridge Parkway. Stopped at lookout points. Sat alone on benches without checking my phone every 10 minutes. No emergencies. No fires to put out. Just sky, trees, wind. I started saving again. Not for tuition. Not for braces or textbooks or spring break flights. For me. An emergency fund. For the first time in over a decade, the emergencies I planned for were mine, and mine alone. And it was around that time that people started talking. Not just whispers. Not just sympathy. Real conversations. Unexpected ones. There's this hardware store I go to, run by a guy named Ellis. Big beard. Bigger opinions. He saw me one afternoon, picking up sealant and a socket wrench set. Didn't think I'd see you around again, he said. I gave him a nod. Got my own place now. He didn't pry, just nodded. Then, halfway through ringing me up, he looked up and said something I wasn't ready for. You did right. I frowned. What? He shrugged. Everybody knew how much you gave those two, especially that girl. Jamie, right? My nephew's in her year. Said she used to show off all the stuff you paid for like it was hers. Now she's pulling double shifts at that diner off Fifth. Word gets around. I said nothing, just signed the receipt. But as I walked out, I realized something. The town saw me. They always had. They saw me on weekends, fixing Nicole's car in the driveway. They saw me hauling folding chairs into community events so Jamie could have a front row seat. They saw me carrying the groceries, picking her up from her friends' houses when Randy forgot. They saw me play the father, even when I wasn't allowed to wear the name. And now that I was gone, they saw that too. The absence wasn't quiet. It was noticeable. The cracks had always been there. I had just been the one filling them. I was the cement between their fractures. And once I stepped back, everything started to fall apart. Jamie's car got repossessed. I heard that through Marcus, who heard it from his sister, who works at the title loan place. Turns out, she hadn't made a payment in 3 months. Nicole tried to take on a part-time receptionist job. Lasted 2 weeks. Quit. Said it was beneath her. The irony hit hard. They were learning. Not just about finances. About dependency. About what it means when the safety net isn't just frayed, it's cut. I even heard they tried reaching out to Randy. That part made me laugh. Because that man was a ghost before, and he's still a ghost now. He's not coming to save them. Never was. He was always just the convenient fantasy. The invisible justification for every time Jamie said, "My real dad would understand." Would he? Because last I heard, he lives 2 states over and still owes back child support from 2015. Good luck getting a dime. The collapse was slow, then sudden. Jamie missed a payment on her classes. Dropped out for a semester. Nicole defaulted on a credit card and started getting collection letters. Their landlord raised the rent. Friends stopped helping. That's the thing no one talks about. People get tired of helping those who feel entitled to help. I had carried them so long that others assumed I always would. When I stopped, they tried asking others. But the well was dry. Nobody wants to fund someone else's fantasy. Especially when that fantasy is built on the back of a man they rejected. And here's the truth I finally accepted. The only reason they ever felt safe enough to disrespect me was because they knew I would never leave. Until I did. Now, no more safety. No more guarantees. I'm told they argue less now. Not because they've grown, but because they don't want to waste time fighting while the bills pile up. They haven't argued with a bill collector since. That's who gets their attention now. Responsibility is a sharp teacher. It doesn't listen to apologies. It doesn't accept late assignments. It doesn't care about blood. It just comes due. And it has. As for me, my days are quiet. I wake up when I want. Go to work. Come home to silence that doesn't judge me. Cook simple meals. No expectations. No slam doors. I go to the gym. I read. I breathe. Sometimes, I walk past the park where I used to take Jamie when she was 12. She liked the swings, said they made her feel weightless. I used to push her, back and forth, listening to her laugh, thinking maybe, just maybe, I was building something real. Turns out I was just keeping her from falling. But you can't push someone forever. Eventually, they jump. Or they tell you to stop. You're not blood. That was her jump. And I let her fall. I don't hate her. Hate takes energy I'm no longer willing to give. I don't even resent Nicole anymore. Her silence spoke louder than any insult. She was never on my side. Just on the side of comfort. I've made peace with it. They chose what they chose. And I chose to stop buying a seat at a table where I was always expected to serve and never allowed to speak. If that makes me the villain in their version of the story, so be it, because I finally started telling mine. And in mine, I'm not the fool. I'm not the ghost. I'm not the ATM in the background. I'm the man who walked away, not because he didn't care, but because he finally realized that caring doesn't mean dying in someone else's war. So I ask you now, was I wrong? Was I wrong to stop being the unacknowledged backbone of a family that never made space for me at the table? Was I wrong to finally demand that love come with respect, that effort be matched with gratitude? Or was I simply too late? Would you have endured it? 12 years of silence, of sacrifice, of being tolerated but never cherished? 12 years of giving without ever being truly seen? Would you have stayed? Or would you have done what I finally did? Walked away and never looked back?